right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Just waiting for people to get in here. Going to share the link around, and we're going to talk some Oscars. That's what we're going to do. So say hey when you pop in the chat. Just sharing stuff. All right, let's see here. Welcome, welcome. Say hello in the chat if you're popping in. We're going to talk Oscars tonight. Whoever is popping in right now, we're going to talk Oscar reactions and just chat it up. So feel free to say your name, pop questions in. I'm just posting some links. Hello, hello. They make it impossible to find the winners on here. I'm like looking around for winners to see who. I mean, obviously, I watched the show, but I'm trying to figure out, see who won everything just so I can talk through all of it. And they make it really, really hard to find stuff. I want to get some music going, but I'm always a little bit nervous because, like, I feel like you get busted for playing music sometimes on here. I mean, not even sometimes. You just get busted. People just kind of drill you, get flags on your account and stuff for playing certain music. I wonder how people do it, though, to be honest. Maybe they just assume, like, if they play it low enough, it's not going to pick it up. I don't know. Just posting links here, sharing it. Hello, hello, welcome. Say hey in the chat if you pop in. We're going to talk Oscars tonight. Hey, my dad's here. Hey, what's up, Dad? Just gonna talk about some Oscar recaps and Oscar thoughts. Welcome everybody. Say hey in the chat if you're here. Got two of you here. One of you is my dad. Thanks for supporting me, Dad. I'm just trying to find some quick some kind of like royalty free chill music that we can listen to maybe here. Get a little low key music going. We don't want it in there. Love you, Dad. I don't want to do this on this iPad. There we go. See if we got it. Okay. Can you guys hear that? The music? Kind of trying to keep it low. Don't even know if you guys can hear it picking it up on my mic. Can't hear it. Just let me know when you hear it. Feels loud now, but my mic not pick a lot of it up. Which honestly that's okay. Did you watch the Oscars, Dad? I'm guessing not, but I could be wrong. Nope. I had a feeling. It was interesting. I mean, it was fun. I enjoy it. Welcome. Got 3 people in here. What's up, everybody? Say hey in the chat. We are going to talk some Oscar recaps tonight. Just kind of reactions, thoughts. I've been thinking about it all day just because, it's kind of weird when, uh, every year the Oscars, it's hit or miss, and it's kind of been interesting past few years with indie film. And I mean, you just never know what you're gonna get with it. You really don't. And last night was interesting. I thought Conan was really funny, to be honest. He made me laugh quite a few times, which is great. I mean, it's always good when the host doesn't necessarily ruin everything. Um, but I think how the night ended up going was a little bit tough for me. It was tough for me, and we'll get into that a little bit later of why it was tough. I'm going to share a couple links still. Go post it for people to come hang out. Just posting the link on Facebook. And I'm posting a couple other places too. Welcome. 4 people in here. Thanks for joining. We're going to talk Oscars tonight a little bit. Just put your questions in the chat, to be honest. If you have questions, you want to talk about something about the Oscars, I'd love to talk about it with you guys. And just break it down and see what you guys think. That's what we're really here to do tonight. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to post it to Instagram and then we'll be good. Post my stories. All right. My parents are here. Awesome. Did mom watch the Oscars? I feel like sometimes she watches. Mom did not watch the Oscars. Welcome, welcome. We're talking Oscars tonight. Put your questions in the chat, everybody. Whoever's here, welcome. Just talking hot takes, recaps. I'm going to jump in a little bit, maybe wait for a few more people to get here. But feel free to put your questions in the chat. And let's get just reacting to everything last night. Like I was just saying, I thought Conan was great overall. Definitely made me laugh. He's such an awkward guy, but he did a really good job. I think he has that. He definitely has that factor, that it factor. Just posting some links. Feel free to share the stream. Be really appreciative of that. Um, just looking to chat about the Oscars with people. I'm getting really close to 700 subs, so if you haven't subbed yet, would love for you to sub to my channel. I do non-spoiler movie reviews from a filmmaker perspective. I'm a filmmaker, writer, producer, director. I've done it all for over about 15 years now, mostly in the nonprofit sector. Um, and and so, yeah, I mean, I love movies, love talking movies, love. So award season's always fun for me, and excited to talk about the winners and losers from last night. Can you still not hear the music, or can you guys hear it? I turned it up a little bit, but if you can't, that's fine. Still can't hear. Okay, I mean that's fine. Probably better safe than sorry about getting flagged for copyright stuff, but it helps me a little bit just not sitting here silent. So, um, well, I think I should get in and just start chatting. I can post this later. Don't know if I want to cut it up though. I did okay with my predictions. I definitely missed on a few things. Pretty big misses. I think that I did underestimate Honora, this film that won Best Picture. I think that I mean I knew that it was getting a ton of buzz. I just didn't know it was going to pull out Best Picture. I had a feeling it was going to win writing, but I thought Demi Moore was going to beat out the girl Mikey Madison for Honora, and it just didn't go anybody else's way. I mean, Honora really took it last night, and it just wasn't my movie. I didn't love Honora. I think it was a little bit overhyped in my mind. It's still a good movie in terms of filmmaking, but I just didn't think it was great. And so yeah, I think I was probably sitting at about. I think if I go back and check my stream from the other night, I think I was probably sitting at around 65 to 70% right, which isn't bad. They really were all over the place. I was really shocked by the win that Flow, the animated best animated feature, just because Flow was amazing. I loved Flow, really sweet movie. The story behind it is cool, very much a Cinderella story, but I think that it wasn't the best animated movie though. Like Wild Robot was significantly better than Flow. Um, and so it really kind of shows that the Academy is, I think, moving a little bit more towards these kind of awards seem more of like honoring awards, like kind of honoring people that are doing things differently. Flow was made entirely in Blender. It's like a free source animation software, which is mind blowing. And it was made by a very small team from Latvia, and just really cool to see their success. But the film still wasn't better than Wild Robot. Wild Robot was incredible. I mean, that movie was so good. It was beautiful, beautiful animation, amazing story, amazing score. I mean, I thought the score could have won best score. It was that good. And so it really felt like Academy voters are awarding people who are kind of leaning into the indie space and wanting to do something less big studio, which we've seen that a lot. I mean, that's been the trend for a while. Uh, Audiences, at least cinephile audiences, like the circles that I run in, I mean, a lot of us want to see indie films succeed. We want to see it do well, because we are indie filmmakers and we want to see it. We want to see it grow. And we want to see more people get chances to make movies, and that's great. I mean, it's great, but there's still a reality of that some of these films are not better than the big studio films, and that was what I would say about Anora. I mean, that was my big push with Anora, and my kind of my annoyance with it is that I think overall Dune 2 was a better movie. I mean, it was better cinematically, it was better cinematography. I thought it was better editing. I thought it was better in almost every regard. It was better, better performances overall. And it's a different movie entirely, um, but we're talking about awarding the best movie in our minds. That's what we think with the Oscars, but that's really not what the Oscars is anymore. I think the Oscars is Hollywood, uh, Hollywood Academy members wanting to honor people who have defeated the odds, who are pushing new boundaries, who are creating new pathways for new creators and new artists. And so I think that that's kind of just what the Oscars become. And you kind of have to accept that reality. And I'm talking to myself as well. I think we've got to accept that maybe the Oscars isn't really awarding the best in every category. It's kind of awarding the ones they want to honor the most. And that says a lot for Anora because you've got a guy who had a huge first last night. I mean, the guy won 4 Oscars, for all of his work. He won directing, he won writing, he won editing, and Best Picture. Like, that's crazy. That's an achievement. Um, and it's a bit of an honoring achievement, but I think there was just better offerings. I mean, Conclave was incredible if you didn't see Conclave, and, uh, I think that Conclave is one of those movies that 10 years ago, Conclave would have won everything. It would have swept. It had everything that makes for an incredible drama, tight story, incredible script, ensemble cast that blows you away, just amazing scenes, perfect pacing, tension, and then an ending that leaves you questioning everything. And that's a great film. I mean, that movie is easily for me top 3 of the year, and I put that in my top 10, but it's like it's it's crazy what we're deciding, what Academy voters are deciding on. And then you got all the controversy of that it's coming out that some Academy members aren't even watching all the movies, and so it's kinda like it's a little bit hard to have a ton of faith in the Academy voters, um, and I mean, and they're affected too. I mean, there's a lot of lobbying going on with Oscar stuff. I've talked about that before. Weinstein, uh, Harvey Weinstein was like notorious. I was talking about this the other night with a guy at the Oscar party I was at, but like Harvey Weinstein was notorious for this. I mean, he would go and he would dig up skeletons. He would find things to leverage voters to vote for his movies, like to get awards. And so that's just kind of part of the Academy, um, lobbyist culture, and you can't really ignore that. You have to accept that that's a reality. And so certain people in power in Hollywood want certain things to win, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that is a reality to the awards. So there's a lot of dynamics going on with the Oscars. But um I wanted to talk about like one of my favorite moments last night. And feel free to put in your favorite moment from the Oscars if you watched it in the chat and we can chat about it. But I know it was staged, but I absolutely loved the moment with Adam Sandler. Like that moment was so good. Like who doesn't love Adam Sandler nowadays? I mean, the guy I grew up with his movies. I think at least my mom, my parents, like, yes, Brett B. My parents don't really love Adam Sandler, I don't think, but I love him. I grew up loving his movies, and that whole sequence was so wholesome. Like, and the fact that the guy, like, he just loves basketball. He's such a humble guy nowadays. Like, he really is a regular dude. Like, that's what you see everywhere right now. And so, and then just seeing him like yell Chalamet and like kiss the guy on the head, it was so funny. Made me laugh. That was definitely one of my favorite moments of the night. I've kind of seen that running today a bit. Um, and it's made me laugh so hard. It's made me just I've watched it multiple times just because it just is one of those moments where you're like, we're gonna be watching this for a long time of this moment when Adam Sandler uh kisses Timothy Chalamet on the head and yells his name and then just like marches out of the Oscars. It was just so good. So Brett, what was one of your favorite moments, man, from the Oscars? If you're still here with us, he was a golfer, my dad. Yeah, Happy Gilmore. Did you know they're making Happy Gilmore 2, Dad? Bond highlight. Oh, interesting. There's a lot of chatter about the Bond moment. Like a lot of people think it should have been cut. Brett, do you know everything going on with Bond right now? Like in Amazon, the Amazon just bought Bond. Yeah, dude. Oh, it's crazy right now. So like Prime, Amazon Studios just bought the rights to Bond, which is kind of crazy. A lot of super huge Bond fans are not excited right now. They're not excited about it because they're in full control now of the franchise. Like full control. And there's just a lot of people that think like Amazon just isn't the one to do it. Like they're just not the ones to move forward with Bond. And so a lot of people were wondering, they were like, is what was it? Like what was the Bond segment? Was it like a highlight for like a little bit of like a subtle advertisement for Amazon, or was it already planned? Like pre-planned before all this Amazon news dropped. And so it's like I think that people want to know. People want to know what was going on with that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I thought the Bond moment was crazy. It's really interesting to talk about who is going to be the next Bond. I mean, there's so many rumors going around right now of like who's going to be the next Bond. Um, yeah, it was a strange highlight. It's like I think that it was weird only because I mean they really should have announced something with it. I think they should have announced like the next Bond or something about it. And I think that segment, if they had removed that segment, maybe they wouldn't have been as over time as they were last night. So there's a lot of rumors about the next Bond. The one that I've seen a lot, this might have been squashed already. I should look it up, but the one I've seen is like Jeremy Allen White. If you know, he's from The Bear, as Bond, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if he's him. You know, But I'm gonna be honest, like, I didn't think Daniel Craig was him when he was cast. I was like, "I don't know about this," and then obviously, I mean, he nailed it. I mean, Craig's been so good as Bond, and so you just never know. You never know what's gonna come of it, you know? You never know what's gonna come of those moments. Um, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, stopping through. Alright, Brett B, thanks for stopping by, man. Dude, enjoy that Harry Potter. Love it. Yeah, how about that John Lithgow news? I'm sure you guys know, but how about that John Lithgow news that John Lithgow is going to be Dumbledore in the new HBO Max Harry Potter show? I mean, that's obviously not Oscar related, but I'm excited about it. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't excited about the new Harry Potter, but I'm intrigued. I'm totally intrigued. So we'll see. And I like Lithgow. I mean, I thought that was a bit of a snub last night. I mean, even when they announced the Oscars, that ensemble in Conclave was so good. Like each of them deserved, I think, to be nominated. Like Tucci deserved it, Lithgow deserved it. Obviously, Ray Fiennes was nominated, and so kind of a bit of a bummer. I mean, that best actor category was so crazy. How did you guys feel? Anybody here just pipe hit up the chat, let me know how you felt about the Adrian Brody situation. Like, I really don't think he should have won. I mean, there's a lot of stuff with the AI stuff, and even outside of that, like AI aside of what they used AI for with him, it's like I just think that his performance was good, but it was like the pianist again. Same type of role. Like it's not like it didn't feel like he was stretching much to do that role. When you had these other guys like Ray Fiennes was just unbelievable in Conclave, so good. I mean, his monologue alone about the papacy what is worthy of an Oscar in my opinion. And so it was just crazy, and then the fact that, Timmy Timmy Chalamet, like, I mean, just the work he put in, he was so good in Complete Unknown, and I know a lot of people didn't like it as much as a lot of the other movies up for Best Picture this year, but I enjoyed Complete Unknown, but his performance was so good, and he learned how to play guitar and harmonica. I mean, spent 5 years learning all that. That's crazy. Like, that's such dedication. It's weird to me that Brody won over him. And I liked The Brutalist. I liked it overall. I thought it was a solid movie. I loved that it was filmed in like on The Brutalist was filmed on film stock, like, and I knew right when I went to the theater, I was like, oh, this is filmed on film, and I loved it. I loved that The Brutalist was on film. I thought that the cinematography was incredible. I thought the score was incredible as well. But just Brody felt weird. Hey, hey. What's up? Oh my goodness. I haven't talked to you guys in forever. Everyone's like seeing the chat. They're like, what's Firestorm? So Danny is a friend from my Mario Kart days. Oh my goodness. It's been forever. Well, welcome to the chat. Did you guys watch the Oscars last night? Danny? We're just chatting Oscars and talking hot takes and reactions to the show last night. Oh, I miss you guys. I miss you guys. I need to figure out how to, I tried to launch OBS the other day to do my last live stream and everything just literally like crashed and burned. And I thought about you guys. All right. Say hey to Neil too. I miss you guys. Did you guys watch the Oscars? That's why you guys are here. I know it's like recap. Okay. I mean, we're just talking right now right now I'm just talking best actor. Adrian Brody won. Uh I mean, over some incredible performances. I just don't know how I feel about it. He beat out Ray Fiennes, Timothy Chalamet, Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo, this movie Sing Sing. If you guys haven't seen Sing Sing, that movie is amazing. Like, I don't even want to tell you about the movie either because it would spoil it. But Coleman Domingo was deserving. I mean, he was so good in that film. And so just seeing Brody up there accepting that award, and then he was kind of a jerk, right? He kind of like got up and then they played the music on him and he was like, "Hey, cut that out. Like, I've done this before." And it was like, "What?" Like, everybody else is getting cut off by music, but Adrian Brody doesn't get cut off. I thought that was interesting. You guys need to watch the recap of his speech, and like, just it was so awkward. It was really, really weird. He probably was one of the most awkward moments. But The Brutus was good. I mean, it really was good. It just wasn't better than some of these other roles. I mean, even Sebastian Stan as Trump. I knew that The Apprentice wasn't going to get a lot of recognition because it's Trump. It's about Trump, and even if it's paints him in a bad light or whatever, I mean, it wasn't really a hit piece on him. It was a really interesting movie. I mean, you everyone needs to go watch The Apprentice if they haven't, simply alone for Jeremy Strong. And so that's who won. So okay, so let's talk about supporting actor then, since we're talking about Apprentice. So Sebastian Stan portrays Donald Trump. I mean, spot on. It's really, really uncanny. He did a really good job. Um, I don't think he necessarily was best actor worthy, but it was a very good performance. Uh, but Jeremy Strong plays Ray Cohn, who was like Donald Trump's lawyer back in the 80s, and he kind of was like a mob lawyer essentially. And Strong, I thought, completely deserved the award. And I'm not bashing Kieran Culkin. A Real Pain was good. It was kind of like, but the movie as a whole wasn't as strong. And I just think Culkin was kind of playing a role that he's played before. Yeah, totally. Yeah, The Apprentice was weird. It was like you thought it was gonna be a hit piece, but then it really was just a piece that explored political and, like, business dynamics in the United States. I thought that was so fascinating about The Apprentice. Like, that whole conversation with Roy Cohn, played by Jeremy Strong, where they're talking about the realities of, like, if you're a politician or you're like, a high-end business owner in the US, basically, you've buried bodies along the way is what they're saying in that movie, and it's like, that's crazy true, I think. Like, it just felt really, really real. Like, it's like if you are high up in these spaces, you've done things that you don't wanna admit that you've done. And I liked that about The Apprentice, and that's what made it worth it. I think that whole theme of, like, what will you do for power was a really great theme. And so but Jeremy Strong's, performance in that film was easily the best of the year. I mean, like, easily. It was significantly better. I think just think Kieran Culkin's management team ran a better campaign. I mean, it's like I said, I mean, Oscars is partial campaigning, and I think Culkin, he's a little bit of like he's kind of like the little bro, right, of Hollywood right now. Like everybody, you know, Macaulay has kind of gotten he's kind of come back in the spotlight this year, getting his star. Everybody's talking about him. And so Kieran coming in and kind of winning this award is a little bit of a just a cool story of him coming back into the light. Uh, I mean, Kieran's been around for a while. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, but I didn't think that A Real Pain and Kieran was as good as Jeremy Strong, which is so funny because they were both in, oh my goodness, why am I blanking on the show? Everybody's talking about it. I haven't watched it yet. They're both in that show about, like, the family business, and I'm blanking right now. If somebody in the chat should call it out because 'cause I'm blanking, but I've heard amazing things about it. And so he wanted that fourth baby. That was so funny though. His speech was so good. His speech was so good. It made me laugh and, you know, good on him. Good on him wanting that fourth kid. I'm sure he's a great dad. I mean, he seems like such a fun dude. Um, and so that was that was a great speech. I mean, the speeches were all fairly good last night. I mean, there wasn't anything that was too crazy other than like Brody. And then I think that the Amelia Perez best song speech was really weird. Like, obviously, all of the buzz around that movie has been insane. And so I think that like it's just when she started to sing Amelia at the end, it's like, "Oh my goodness." Like, that was so awkward. Like, I'm laughing because I, like, looked over oh, Succession, yes. Danny, that's right. I mean, that show I've heard is incredible, and I haven't seen it, but Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin are in that, so they have a little bit of a competition going, you know? Um But yeah, I mean, the Amelia part of Amelia Perez when she sings Amelia, like, at the end of the thing was so awkward, and I just, like, looked over I just remember looking over at the people at the Oscar party I was at, and we were all like, "What is happening?" Like, that was literally my face, it was this, like, kind of intrigued, wondering what's gonna happen here, and I laughed. I laughed so hard. So did everybody at our party. We were like, "What is she doing?" And then the guy with her was kinda like he was kinda you could tell he was feeling the tension, the awkwardness. He was like, "Can we please leave? Can we please go?" He was feeling it. He was feeling the awkward tension 100%. And but other than those 2 speeches, I mean, everything was really really wholesome, really good overall. Some great speeches of the night. Um, let's talk about really quick though. Let's talk about this. I think so funny, right? Let's talk about best supporting actress. Okay, so best supporting actress. Mikey Madison for Honora took it home. She won. But the race was really between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore. Like, that's really who it was down to, and I think Demi Moore was, in The Substance, and that movie is bonkers. Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen that. That movie was so insane. I have a hilarious story I have a hilarious story to The Substance. So I didn't see The Substance in theaters because I was too chicken. I'm not a huge horror guy. I'm definitely not a big body horror guy. And so I was like, I didn't know if I should see it. But then when it got nominated for Best Picture, I really forced myself most of the times to watch all of the Best Pictures. It's kind of like my thing. I do it every year. And I really want to make sure that I've kind of seen it and give everything a fair chance. I watched Amelia Perez this year, which was on Netflix. And so I finally saw The Substance about a week ago, a week before the Oscars on Mubi. There was this new streaming app that kind of gave like a free trial. So I'm watching The Substance, and it's crazy. It's definitely intense. It's super racy. It's just like extremely explicit body horror stuff, right? But it's pretty I mean, a fascinating story, well-written story, really intriguing, and the last 30 minutes of that movie are, like I was viscerally reacting to what was going on the screen, like, I was completely like, "Oh, oh, no!" Like, I was yelling "no" at the TV. I don't do that very often, and I literally was like, "Oh, no, don't do it, don't do it." And it's like, in those last moments, I won't spoil what Oh my gosh, Sir Alex, that's amazing. I love that. I love that you saw it with some older ladies. What a group. What a group. But I mean, so it's like the end of that movie is bananas. And I won't say what happens, but when that end of that movie was coming up, I was being so like loud and reacting to what was going on that my wife was like, "What's going on out there?" And I was like, "Don't come out here." Like it was like this thing of like, wait, because she gets nightmares like from stuff. And I was like, you cannot see how terribly gross this is. And I was like, stop. And I was like pausing the TV and hoping that's at the right moment because that movie grossed me the heck out. But Demi's performance was incredible. I mean, those last moments was just insane. I mean, Substance, I I don't know. Man, that's a tough question, Danny. I think that I think the Substance is really unique. And I think, yeah, I think Sir Alex is a bit on it, right? It's like there's an appreciation of Nosferatu because that movie, like every frame was a painting. I mean, it really deserved the I think it deserved the cinematography Oscar. I mean, The Brutalist was good cinematography, it really was, but I think Nosferatu, it was like every single frame I think you could consider art. I mean, Eggers put so much into his movies, and he just, I mean, it was beautifully shot. And so, but it's not, Nosferatu, in my opinion, is not really a movie you watch twice. Now, The Substance is not really a movie I would watch twice either, but I think that a lot of people are going to watch The Substance a lot. Like, I think that it's going to become a bit of a cult classic, I think, in horror. And so, like, yeah, the plot was interesting in Nosferatu. I just, you have to understand, like, you kind of have to understand the history of the original Nosferatu to understand, like, what was going, like, what he was attempting to do, because the like this the German, like, background of Nosferatu, really, he really played into that here, like a lot of those elements of horror. And so it was a different movie. I mean, it wasn't scary in my opinion. Like, Nosferatu wasn't scary. I think that it more circled the idea of dread, like dreading something, and what happens when, like, I mean, Nosferatu is totally going to have its people, right? I mean, Eggers has his people, and I could see Nosferatu get in a Criterion Collection. I mean, it's a great cinema experience, but the story itself is really wrapped around this idea of dread. And so I think that that dread is where Eggers leaned into, and he didn't mean to do a crazy plot. And so I agree with you. The plot isn't deep, but I think the themes are deep in Nosferatu. I think there's a lot of hidden themes, a lot of things going on in that story, and in between the characters, and specifically in between Lily Rose Depp and, like, Nosferatu, like, their relationship, and then Nicholas Holt, and that dynamic, that relational triangle that's going on there, is really what the movie is about, and it's meant to make you feel a certain way and explore themes through those people. And so The Substance is just entertaining. Like, there's deep themes in The Substance, but it's more entertaining than Nosferatu. I feel like Nosferatu is like, hey, let's study this. I feel like Substance is like, oh, let me watch this and, like, and be fully intrigued by what's going on, because it was fairly fresh. I think The Substance felt fresh, it felt new. It was fun seeing the director takes the risk that she took with that film. Um and so I know a lot of people were disappointed that Substance didn't take home more than it did. But I mean, just the fact that it was included is pretty cool. I mean, it's a genre flick through and through. And I think that very rarely do we see genre flicks honored like that. And so I think that it's pretty cool that that Substance was in the mix. But all my whole point of talking about this is, so the fact that Mikey Madison won the award, this kind of like young up and comer girl, when you have Demi, who's kind of at the twilight stage of her career, and gives this insane performance. The fact that Mikey beat her out is literally the plot of The Substance. Like, and I thought that that was hilarious. Like, you have you have this movie that's like, hey, why do we, like, glorify youth? Why do we kill ourselves to look good and look young and be young forever? Is it really worth it? And then we have this award that's awarding this young girl over an older woman who gave an incredible performance. I just thought it was just too much. It was too on the nose. Like, I saw a couple tweets talking about it in threads. It's like way too on the nose there of the Substance plot. I just thought it was hilarious. But oh man. So I mean, I'm gonna get into soon. I mean, I'm like, I don't know when I should jump into talking through my thoughts about um, Best Picture and Best Director. I kind of talked a lot about this with Best Director. Welcome to chat, everybody. Hit the like button when you're in here. Would really appreciate it. Would love to. It really helps the channel out. And feel free to sub. Would love to help you guys hit me seven. Help me hit 700 right now. Really, really close. So let's talk about director and let's talk about Sean Baker because Sean Baker is a great director. He really is. I don't know if you guys have seen The Florida Project, but Sean is such a unique story. He's a good story. And I really think that that's why, again, he won director tonight because ultimately Sean is a good story. You got this guy who really shot his first feature film on an iPhone. Like he's he's committed to the craft. He wants to be a filmmaker. He makes a whole film on his iPhone and it's good. I mean, the Florida Project was good. And so and then now he's standing on the stage making history, winning 4 Oscars, right? It truly is a bit of a Cinderella story, and it's like, again, Hollywood loves these type of stories, and I think that his direction of Anora was good. I just thought Anora was so interesting because I think he presented some really, I would say, conflicting themes within Anora. I mean, and I don't wanna spoil the movie, I'm huge here on my channel not spoiling movies, so I'm gonna try and talk real careful about it, but you have finding beauty in the overlooked and giving a voice to those who are on the margin. Yes, okay, very much true. He very much is like, "Hey, let's give a voice to these people," right? But I thought that Anora was so interesting because you had this thing where it's like painting the life of this woman out to be like, "Oh, she, like, on the surface, she loves her life, right? And she's like, oh, and it looks like everything's great. And that's cool, right? I mean, to a certain degree. But at the end of the story and throughout the narrative, we realize like she's really not happy. And she's like trying to find happiness. And I just thought it's a really interesting dynamic going on in Honora where it's like they're wanting to celebrate people in the margins and these kind of lifestyles, but then also they're saying like, is it really fulfilling? I mean, I think both of those questions were present in Honora. And so it was just an interesting film, I think, for Hollywood to rally around. I think there's just a lot of interesting themes that are hard. They're hard themes. They're hard themes to tackle and talk about. And so he did a good job though in the film of representing that, like Danny said in the chat, right? He and he had extra control. I think that's really important. I think people don't realize the fact that he wrote it, directed it, and edited it is crazy. And let me tell you why. I've talked about this in some of my old videos, okay? When you are making a film, they say you write a film 3 times. You write it when you write the script, when you write the script, when you write the screenplay. You write it when you direct it on set and do production, and then you write it again when you edit it. He did all of those things, okay? And he even took a little shot at himself, right? He kind of joked about it. But the reality is, the fact that he has those skill sets and he's doing those things, like it's giving him an insane amount of control around the narrative. Insane. Like the amount of control he has to shift and move and shape that narrative is more than most directors because he wrote it and he edited it. That's crazy. I mean, more power to him. So it is quite the achievement. Now, let's talk about why I'm really mostly upset that Sean I'm not I guess I'm not upset that Sean won, but talked about this a while back. The fact that Denis Villeneuve wasn't even nominated is a travesty. And the end of the day, Denis should have won. I mean, the vision, the what he did with Dune is insane. It really is insane. I think people don't realize like the scale and the scope of what Denis did with Dune and just how complicated that source material is. I mean, I think that was, like I said earlier in my other life, like the downfall of part one is that he didn't bring in enough context, I think. and so it was a little bit. It fell a little short. I mean, it was a little slow, and some people didn't know what was going on. But I think part two, I mean, dispensed with most of that, and I think it was absolutely incredibly done. I mean, it's one of the best sequels I think ever, and they just snubbed him, and I think they snubbed him because it's a big studio film. I think they wanted to make way for a lot of these first-timer nominations, but it just made me so sad that he wasn't nominated. I think he deserved the nomination, and I think he deserved the win, and I kinda saw this earlier today, and I totally agreed. Now I totally agreed with it, so I'm gonna share it now. Somebody on Threads posted, and I was like, "That's totally true," and it's that if Dune Part 2 had come out in November, it would have won maybe almost everything, and I think that that's totally true. Like, um oh, yeah. What's up, Ryan? I've heard this. I've heard this. They thought the first one was boring. I mean, I've heard that from a lot of people. I've heard that a lot of people say that the first one was boring. I love the books. I love Dune, and so I absolutely enjoyed it. I loved Dune Part 1, but I love Dune Part 2 even better. I mean, I think it's a better film. Um, but the fact that there's reports that the Academy members aren't watching everything is just a travesty. I mean, like, it's your job. I mean, you're like you're if you're an Academy member, you should be watching all of if you're voting, you should be watching. That's right. Zendaya was incredible in it. I mean, she was so good. I mean, I was a little surprised that she didn't get nominated. I mean, she gave an incredible performance. Same with Austin Butler. I mean, the movie was amazing. It's shocking that it didn't get nominated. And I really just think that if it had come out in November, it would have been a totally different story. And so, um, you know, and even when we're still talking as we're talking about directing, right? Like the fact that John Chu for Wicked wasn't nominated is insane too. I mean, that guy John did an insanely good job with Wicked. Like, regardless of how you feel about the film, like, um, John Chu made it just he did an incredible job. And I know some people weren't happy with how he chopped up some of the songs, and I get that. I get that you're not happy with it, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, I'm a massive Wicked fan. I love the stage show, and I just thought I don't think I think that Wicked. Oh, Danny. Yes, agreed. So Danny's still talking about Dune, and I agree with you 100%. Dune, that's a really good. It's like the slow inhale and the full blown sandstorm. Love it. I mean, agreed. I mean, it was like our generation's Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I stand by that 100%. I think it's like you had, you know, A New Hope was incredible, and then Empire Strikes Back came out and blew people's minds. I think that's what's going on with Dune Part 2, like Dune. Dune came out, slow inhale, just like you said, and then just blew people away. Um, yes, Alex, agreed 100%. Like, I knew when I saw that they picked Chu to do Wicked, I was, like, ready because In the Heights, as much as the overall film wasn't necessarily it wasn't perfect. I enjoyed it though, but those sequences in the Heights were amazing. Those musical sequences were mind blowing, and I think I knew I was like, "Choose going to bring that over into Wicked," and he really did. But I think that Wicked was just even stronger of a movie than In the Heights, and he, I I will fully say and stand by that. I think that the Wicked Part 1, this adaptation, is the best adaptation of a musical of all time. I really do. I mean, I think that it was it's so faithful to the stage show while also enhancing everything about it. I think that the fact that we can see more emotion from all of the characters is just such an upgrade in terms of enjoying and experiencing the story. And so I was sad for him that he didn't get nominated. He deserved it. I really do. The work that that man did, and I totally doubted some of his choices early on. I mean, I did not think that Ariana Grande was going to be good. Um, Yes, like, he totally captured the friendship at the core, and I mean, I did not think she was gonna be good. I did not think Ariana had it. I thought, "Oh, she's an amazing singer, she'll sing good," but I did not think that I I did not think that she was going to be as great as she was. I mean, she really elevated that role. I think she was again another one that was just as deserving for that supporting actress, that supporting role. I mean, I think she very much deserved that. I think that like that's funny, Alex. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's like I mean, I don't know. There's people that like her and there's people that like her, people that love her, people that don't, hate her. I mean, that's any celebrity. But I just didn't think she had the acting chops. I mean, I'd seen her on SNL a few times, but I didn't think that she had it in her to do what she did. Like I just thought, I was like, she's gonna ruin this. I was like, her singing's gonna be amazing, her acting's gonna be bad. Couldn't have been more wrong. So happy that I was wrong about Ariana. I mean, I think she just crushed it. And how many of you guys knew that Bach in the movie is her like husband? I think. I don't even think they're dating. I think they're married. That like surprised me. Yeah, she started out in no, she started in Disney, or was it Disney or Nickelodeon? I think it was Disney. I think she did start out in Disney. Not exactly sure where. I could look it up. I got my iPad here or my phone. Um, yeah, I think that let me look it up. I want to check. Or somebody want to look it up. Let's see. Disney. There you go. Brian, what show was she in? Was it Wizards of Waverly Place or something? Or was that no, that wasn't her. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. So, but I mean, she was a Disney kid and two names of girls. I can't remember. Nice. Um, Yeah, she really blew me away. I was really happy, and I mean, what's really interesting about Wicked, to be completely honest, is we bought the 4K we bought the 4K disc of Wicked because I love all the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm a physical media guy overall. A little plug for physical media, Sam and Cat. I don't even know what that is. Like I've never even heard of that, which is crazy. Um, it just means I'm getting super old, is all it means, and that my kids don't watch cable, which because on streaming, it's like I don't know if I've ever seen that pop up. Victorious, I don't know. She's probably all over the place. Um, but and Victorious, there you go, there you go. Ryan, did you? I'm guessing you watched last night. Did you watch the whole? Did you watch the whole show? I guess is my question. Yes. What's your hot take? What's your hot take of the show? Did you like? Did you agree with Honora just sweeping it up? While Ryan's thinking about his answer, thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate you all. Hit that like button if you're here. Perez is and was horrible. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah. I mean, I gave it a chance. I gave Perez a chance. It was not it was not fun. That's not a hot take. I mean, it's true. I don't know if it's a hot take. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my hottest take of the night is. I mean, probably the Honora bit. I mean, I'm trying to think of everybody. I mean, I think Conclave should have won for score. Don't know how much of a hot take that is. I think it was the best score, hands down. Brutalist was good, but it wasn't as a whole. Like the Conclave score, do yourself a favor and go and listen to it as a whole in its entirety if you get a chance. And the score itself is a narrative. It's incredible. I mean, the tension, the rise and fall, like everything that's involved in that score is completely mind blowing. And the Brutalist score is good, but it's really repetitive. So repetitive. Like, and it has an amazing sequence of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 bars, like that the Brutalist does over and over again, and it really has a feel to it. It's a good feel, but it's interesting that it won on just that, I think. Like the rest is forgettable. But Conclave, just the whole movie is just iconic. The score is just amazing. I love it. The Academy. Okay, hot take. Here we go. The Academy is who the biggest loser is here. Perez for all its noms, The Miss of Dune 2, the lack of members. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, don't know if that's still a hot take, but it's a good take. And it's a take I agree with. I mean, I think this is really why I wanted to talk tonight. So we're getting into the meat of it now. We're getting into the meat of why I wanted to go live tonight and really talk. Is because I felt really split last night when I was thinking about the Oscars. Like when I started really digging in and thinking about, yes, hey Danny, thanks so much for stopping by. Danny and Neil, thankful for you guys. Miss you. Let's hang out soon. Let's get like a Zoom hangout going. Um, if you're here, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Thanks for hanging out. But we're gonna jump into the meat of why I want to stream tonight, and this is why. There were some moments that I really loved at the Oscars last night, and one of those moments is that there was an element of there's a shift happening in the industry that they really are pushing and supporting and encouraging independent film. And that's so exciting for me. Like as a guy who still I'm writing a few features right now. I'm working on 2 features. I finished 2 features, writing 2 more features, working on writing a television show, working on a couple different pilots. Like I'm writing and wanting to eventually take those things and turn them into something. I want to make them, right? Eventually. But it's always been this thing that maybe is a bit unreachable, like just out of reach. Because how do that world, Hollywood is such a difficult space. It's a difficult space to break into. I mean, I worked for Marvel back in the day, had my opportunities back then, but decided that that wasn't it, right? Living in LA, doing that life wasn't what was going to be what I wanted back then. And so now I'm coming back full circle and going, yeah, but I still want to tell great stories and I still want to make films. And so, how do I do that when it's really a studio system that's changing? And last night was just, it was a really cool affirmation that the industry is changing. It's moving away from the big blockbuster. It's moving away from, this kind of inner tight circle of control and really kind of spanning out a little bit you know, to let more artists make films, like let more directors direct fun, low budget, interesting stories. And I'm excited about that. But then there's a part of me that was sad because it was like I also want film to be honored, and there's something about movies like Dune 2 and Wicked and some of these Conclave. I mean, Conclave was probably a little much smaller than those, but there's something about the magic of those movies that's really unique, and it really still kind of awakens something in me as a storyteller and a filmmaker that I'm like, I want to tell those stories too. I want to tell those big stories, right? Like I'm working on a couple scripts right now. One of the scripts I'm working on is a big budget movie. I have a couple, right? I have my lower budget films that I'm writing, and then I have a film that I'm doing that would be a big budget blockbuster film that I would absolutely love to make. It's like a psychological period piece horror set in medieval France. So much love for that story, but it would not be cheap. And so it would be the type of movie that I'd have to, you know, you'd have to get bigger backing, right, for that kind of thing. And you want to make those stories. It's like, are those stories still going to be made in the future when we're really moving away from those type of movies? And I do think there's some bloated budgets out there for these big movies. So Alex says, I think there's a happy medium. We can love both the giant blockbusters and the humble indie films. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's basically where I'm at. I'm feeling this kind of tension as a creator, though. I think but that is where I'm at. I mean, that's why I created my channel. My channel specifically. So for some of you that are popping in here, the heart of my channel is that I'm a huge movie fan, and that's movies all over the place. I think that movies are meant to be enjoyed. I mean, and if you enjoy the art house indie, that's awesome. But if you enjoy the rock'em sock'em crazy dumb action like Pacific Rim, that's awesome too. It's like, yeah, there are movies that aren't as deep themes or great writing, but like people are meant to enjoy movies. I mean, and so my biggest thing with my channel is like, are they worthy of a theater experience? And so I try to pitch, for you guys without any spoilers, the realities of, is it worth spending the big bucks to go to the theaters now? Because it's so expensive to go to the movie theater. But then there's also tension in that because I want to support movie theaters. I don't want movie theaters to die. That was my one of my favorite moments from the Oscars last night was Sean Baker just giving a full shout out of movie theaters. I love that because movie theaters are special. I mean, I have so many amazing memories from movie theaters growing up. My family went to the movies a ton, and so it's like there's so much magic and wonder there in the movies and sitting in a movie theater and just, nowadays turning your phone off and just experiencing a movie with someone or even the audience. There's just something so unique and special about that that's different than sitting at home. It really is. There's just sitting at home is great. I'm not bagging on it. I'm just saying that there is a unique element to going to the movies and experiencing stories on the big screen with the sound design and with the people around you to kind of really experience those reactions. Like, I don't know how many of you guys, probably all of you. I mean, there's not a ton of us here, but it's like if you think about how you felt in Avengers Endgame at that end moment when all the Doctor Strange rings are popping up, right? This is the most recent thing for me that really was like just such a visceral theater experience. Like, and those moments are impossible to replicate. They're so inherently unique. And Wicked even touched on it a little bit, at least for me, because I'm a musical guy. Because I love musicals and because I love Wicked so much, it's like there was something in Wicked that did that. And it's hard to experience that at home. It just is. Even with top of the line surround sound, it's just not the same experiencing those moments in a big theater with other people, and I'll say the same for IMAX. Like, I mean, I saw Dune Part 2, and this is probably shading my perspective just a bit, and I'm fine with it. It's like, I saw Dune 2 in the IMAX theater here in Orlando, and that was an experience. I mean, yes, totally, Alex. I mean, I really don't want to lose the theater because, like, so I went and saw Dune 2 at this IMAX screen here in Orlando. And what a lot of people don't know is like even IMAX, there's very few true IMAX theaters in the entire US. I think it's something like, I don't know, 30 to 40 screens, I think, nationwide that are official IMAX experiences. And one is in Orlando. Super blessed for that. So I went and saw Dune 2 on IMAX, and it's just like it's just it, it's an experience. It's like a spiritual experience sometimes. I mean, it truly is special. Like Alex saying, I mean, I don't want us to lose that. I want to still encourage people through my channel and through my life and through my relationships. I want people to go to the movies. And that's why people always ask, like, Michael, why are you so into the Oscars, man? Why are you always like pushing it? Oh, they're out of touch or they're missing or whatever. But it's like, I still love good movies and good stories. And I want the Oscars to stay relevant because it's the one show that I feel like has a platform to tell people, "Hey, go see movies. Appreciate cinema." Us even and especially movies maybe you haven't heard of before. That is an element of the Oscars. I mean, you want to go see these movies. Like there were some movies this year that are in the Oscars that I don't think people saw that were unbelievable. There's a movie September 5th. If you haven't seen September 5th, you should go see that movie. It got a very limited run in theaters, sadly, but that movie was amazing. Like, same. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that really blew me away this year. Flow, obviously. Flow, a lot of people didn't see Flow. I saw Flow in theaters with my 4-year-old daughter, and it was such a cool, special experience. I mean, just my daughter loved it. It was just such a unique, sweet moment to go and see that with my little girl. And like very few people saw that. So the Oscars is giving light to some of those things that people should see and people should experience. And so I kind of am hoping that the Oscars makes the changes or realizes what they need to do to really stay somewhat relevant and attract new audiences. Like I want to attract new people. Um, Alex says that's why I'm happy the Oscars are recognizing more obscure independent. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's part of it, right? I do love that. I just don't know if they should be winning all the I don't I don't know if they should be winning all the awards, you know? It's like I love that they're getting recognition and getting out there. Now, I don't know if they should win. Like even there's a the game the gaming awards, you know, like the gaming community has been doing this new thing, right? Where they're creating awards at the big award shows for the indie developers, like giving them opportunity to be like, okay, hey, you know, these indie films deserve the spotlight and deserve an award. And I wonder if the Oscars, I've talked about this with a few buddies. It's like, I wonder if the Oscars could introduce a category of like best indie film, right? And be like, hey, if a film is under $10 million budget, you know, or even under, I mean, 10 million probably good be a good line for indie film, you know, really. And so it's like that'd be really cool if the Oscars was like best independent film and you had it, then the thing was, look, you cannot spend over $10 million on your film and then you're eligible for this category. And I think that that would clear up a lot of issues with what's going on in the Oscars right now because then you would have opportunity to honor a lot of these indie films that are doing something new, something fresh. And then you'd also be able to honor the best films that just are spending a lot more, that are spending 30, 40, 50, 100, $200 million. It's like they're still having their category that they can be honored through, and indie's getting its spotlight. And I think that would be really, really cool. And then you could have crossover in some of those spaces for sure. I mean, that would be really amazing, but it's like ultimately, I want the Oscars to award the best of the best. And they've just been missing lately with that overall. And so I'm trying to think of even last night who I'm like, oh, yeah, totally dead on. Absolutely should have won. Trying to remember who won for, let me check. I'm trying to remember who won for a Nora won original. Oh, Conclave. Conclave won adapted screenplay. That's right. Totally deserved. I mean, Conclave deserved the adapted 100%. 100% deserved. Um, one of the things I love to do that I'll just give a little highlight to right now is every year when the Oscars is done, probably in a week or so, it takes them a little bit of time, but they do an offer. Yeah, I mean, totally. I really wish Conclave won more. 100%, man. I top three of the year for me. Top three films of the year, I thought of 24. So The Academy does a thing every year after the Oscars, and it kind of gives you an option. You can buy this package. I think it's 20 bucks, but I could be wrong, where you can watch all the documentary shorts, the live action shorts, and the animated shorts all for like 20 bucks. And I do that every single year because I don't typically get to see all of those. And so I go back and I watch all of them, and I always look forward to that. And so I want to put that out there to all of you guys. Like, you should check that out. It's always amazing, particularly the documentary, just because it leans a lot into my work right now with what I'm doing. I do a lot of documentary style work in the nonprofit space and sector. And so I really love catching all those short documentaries, and I like watching the long feature documentaries as well. And so that's something I'm looking forward to as kind of a catch up with the Oscars. But I mean, I thought that that speech for No Other Land, the documentary feature that was made by Israelis and like people from Gaza, like that speech was really fascinating to me. I was like super intrigued. That was like, wow. So like two obviously diametrically opposed people in terms of the media, and they made a movie together. And so I was like, I'm super interested in checking out that movie. Um, but all the documentary stuff looked really, really fascinating. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Um, you know, I did love that Wicked won Best Production Design. I thought that was totally deserved. I also thought that the Substance winning makeup and hairstyle was totally deserved. I mean, that, like I said, oh man, without spoiling anything, the last like 20 minutes, it's like insane. Um, Yeah, totally, Alex. I think a lot of people felt that way. I think that when they got up there, everyone was like, "Oh boy, like here we go. Like what's going to happen?" Because it's super controversial right now. Obviously, it's in the media everywhere. But I mean, his speech was great. I loved his speech. I like it when people bring, you know, compassion and empathy and common sense to stuff. And I just thought he was very much in that space. I think his speech was kind of like, we need to work together to fix this, and I loved that. And now I really, man, I where did you watch it? Where did you see it, Alex? Is there streaming services that's on? Did you buy it? Or did you see it in theaters? Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to go check it out because I definitely want to see it not in theaters. Okay. I'll look it up. I mean, a lot of times with the documentary stuff, like it takes a little while for the buzz to kinda come back around, right? But, like, No Other Land, I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of got pulled back into, like, Regal or AMC, like, doing a bit of an Oscars thing in the theaters, and I'll try to swing back around and see it then. But, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hit that like button if you're here, if you haven't yet, and, hit that sub as well. It really helps the channel. We're just talking Oscars. Any other thoughts from Oscars? I mean, I'd love to answer questions and get some discussion going in the chat of what people were thinking, what they were surprised about. Um, I was happy that Wicked took home the awards that it did. I was happy for that at least Dune Part 2 didn't get shut out. Um, how about that? Oh my goodness. Okay, here's the deal. I've been wanting to talk about this. Did everybody watch the opening with Conan? That was so hilariously brilliant. While not absolutely not for children, I felt terrible because we were at a party and there were some kids there, and I was like, "Man, this is terrifying for children." But that whole bit of they're like, "Hey, knock, knock, knock," Conan, and he's crawling out of Demi Moore's back. I mean, that killed me. That was so funny. I was, like, in tears with that. I mean, and then the shoe, like, they just Conan had so many great bits, like, I mean, yes, it was the last thing. Like when that happened, I was like, no way are they doing this. Like I mean, I just was so shocked. Like I thought, I don't know. I just was so surprised that they did that. And I was shocked because it was fairly graphic. I'm like, this is like live television, like pretty surprising. But Cinema Streamer Jug, yes, that was so good. I love in that cinema streamer thing, it was so funny. He's like in the seat and he's like he's like holding hands with the girl next to him. Like he was, oh gosh, Conan was so good. The cinema streamer was amazing. There's so many amazing moments from Conan. Conan's best joke, I think, by far was when he was up there and he brought up all the firefighters and the first responders from the Palisades. And he's like, there's some jokes even I won't read. And then he like passes it off to the guy who's like, hey, we're sorry for everybody that lost their homes. And they're like, and that means you too, Joker 2 producers. That killed me. I was crying. That was so bad and hilarious all at the same time. I mean, like the collective, oh, like everybody was like, oh, like I mean, that was our whole party as well. It was like the reaction to that was yes, I loved that. I mean, it was such a good way to honor them and then have them, give the fun bits and stuff. Um I also thought his I was super disappointed. Was anybody else disappointed because they did the whole bit with John Lithgow where he was like looking sad and disappointed? And he was like, hey, if you go over time on your speech, we're going to bring in John Lithgow and we're going to cut to his face and his disappointed face. I was like, and then they were like, and we're going to bring in your early headshots. I was like, why didn't they do that to Brody? Do you know how hilarious that would have been live for Brody to be giving his speech? And then they just, yes, like, and then literally I was like, what they needed to happen was for as Brody's giving his speech, like Lithgow just like slides into split screen, and it's like, and they're just sitting there split screen with Lithgow watching Brody and like disappointed. That would have been comedy gold. Like, just I wish they had done that, but they didn't. Um, but the headshot bit with Timothy, like, it's true it would have made him look bad, but it's like he was being a jerk. Like, I don't know. I That really annoyed me about Brody last night. Like his whole cocky, like his whole bit of like cut the music. I just was like, ugh. I was like that made me annoyed, even more annoyed. Um, the shot on the Prime Building IMAX 4D large format. Large format, man. I agree with you 100%. They should have. They definitely should have talked about IMAX. Um, I mean Dolby as well. I love all that stuff. We have a Dolby AMC up. It's a little bit far from me, but it's like 40 minutes, and I'll do it for certain pictures. I saw last year Zone of Interest. I saw that at the Dolby. Oh my goodness, you guys. Like that movie was so intense, and at the Dolby, I was, like, sick. Like, not because of anything I ate, but, like, because the sound design was so intense, like, that was nuts. Um, but yeah, I loved the bit that Colin did with the with Timothy Chalamet's headshot, and he was like an ultrasound. That was so good. I laughed so hard at that. That cracked me up. Yeah, we were talking about that EDM earlier, like about the Bond thing. I totally think that Bond thing, it was weird. It just was weird. Like they didn't do anything with it, and it felt. I'm like, why are we doing this right now? But it seems like it would have been too. It seems too early. Like they just announced all this. I mean, obviously the Oscars, the Academy knew that the deal was going down, but I just think it was so weird to me that they still did that bit. It was weird. That really was probably one of the weirdest things of the night. Yeah, dude. I mean, I knew that for sure as well. I felt the same way. Like Zone of Interest, I was just telling so if you do some research on some of the stuff that they did with Zone of Interest, I was when I saw that movie, I legitimately like I mean, the subject matter is so heavy and it makes you feel sick because of the subject matter, but then even more so, they put in a frequency in that movie, like this really low frequency that sounds like it has a really unique sound that you can barely hear, but it has a like, it literally has an effect on people that it makes you have an upset stomach. How insane is that? Like, I mean, that was brilliant and also, like, messed up. Like, I just was like, that movie messed with me so much, and I mean, it's just one of those movies that's I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever watch that movie again, but it blew me away, and the sound design was incredible, incredible. So, I mean, Oppenheimer's was so good last year too. Like the sound design was amazing, but Zone of Interest just, I mean, it was made to win that award. It was made to win that award. Really? Wait, Honora wins more Oscars than The Godfather, Rocky, 12 Years a Slave, Casablanca, No Country for Old Men, prepare to be deflated. Huh. That's crazy to me, to be honest. I mean, and I mean that has to be my hottest take of the Oscars that I've kind of mentioned while we've been here, but it's like I thought Honor was a bit overrated, and to be completely honest, like I didn't I didn't love it. What's up, Spoiler Kings? Thanks for coming in. Thanks so much. Oh, dude, Rafe. Oh my gosh, I saw that, Spoiler Kings. How did the how are the voters so uninformed? They're like, "Oh, he's won before." He's never won. He and that shouldn't affect it anyways. I agree with you, dude. I mean, if I were to have given Best Actor to anybody, I would have given it to Rafe. I thought his performance was incredible. I thought he was the best performance of the year. And I was shocked that he didn't. I mean, I wasn't shocked because I wasn't surprised what they did, but it was so disappointing. I was disappointed. Um, and like I was saying earlier, I think Tucci and Lithgow also gave incredible performances worthy of awards as well. I mean, that movie blew me away. Um, but yeah, EDM. I mean, my hot take is that I just didn't love Honora. I mean, it's not that I don't respect it. It's not that I don't respect what Sean Baker did. It just was a movie that I just didn't love. Like I didn't love it as much as everybody else did. Um, I thought that I just thought it was a I don't know. I'm trying to even think to put words to it. I just thought that the narrative was a bit thin in my opinion. I mean, really good characters, but just the plot itself and the narrative wasn't too impressive, I thought. But I mean, um, let's see. Picture, director, actor, screenplay, editing, bonus. Interesting. I like Annie Hall. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Woody Allen, man. Woody Allen hasn't made a movie in a long time. Um, if you're here, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Hit that like button, sub. I'm trying to get to 700. I don't know. Maybe I hit it already. It'd be great if I did hit 700. I don't know if I did or not. Um, but let's see. How we doing? How we doing? Yeah, I mean, I think Anora. It'll be interesting to see how these movies age, right? When we start to think about these movies, like, so the movies that raked up a lot of awards, right? Anora, Brutalist, Substance, Dune 2, Wicked 1, like, it'll be interesting to see where they're at in 5 years, because there's definitely a lot of movies that have won big hits, right? And then 5 years, they're just completely forgotten. Like, people don't talk about them, people don't watch them, and I don't think what's really interesting about that is, like, I think that you think about, like, The Substance, I think that movie's gonna be around for a long time. I think it's gonna have a cult classic following of people that are going to just love that movie forever. I mean, it's gonna be a staple in horror for a really long time, and I could see it getting a Criterion Collection, um, and I think Anora's already slated to get a Criterion Collection, but, I mean, it'll just be interesting to see how lasting Anora is. Um, Totally. Like, I actually think above in all of the movies this year, in that top 10 best picture list, I think the ones that are gonna have the most lasting impact are going to be Dune Part 2, Wicked, and The Substance. I really do. I'll stand by that. I think those are the 3 movies that in 10 years, people are still gonna be talking about those movies. I mean, people are gonna still love it. They're gonna have strong followings. I don't know if I can say the same about Anora. I think Anora's long-term, like, decade success kind of hinges on Sean Baker's career. I think Sean Baker's career lasts a long time. Like, if he comes out with several more hits and he really stays at the top and he really establishes himself, kind of like an Astor or an Eggers, like some of these new directors that are really kind of kicking out content that is like very them and continues to build their following, I could see Honora sticking around, right? Like The Northman, right? Eggers' last film, The Northman. I mean, insanely crazy film again, not as well received as his other films, but still will have a huge following because Eggers is still building his following, and he really built upon that with Nosferatu. And so I think that that will be the story of Anora. Can it last and ride Sean Baker's career if he has a successful career? I think if he kind of fades out, I think you'll see Anora fade out a little bit. It felt it felt very, you know, just a good comedy. I thought it was a good drama, drama comedy, dramedy, and I thought Mikey was great. And I mean, that was about it. I just didn't think the writing, the script was as strong as they really were playing it up to be. But I mean, it won the award. So what can you say? This is just my opinion. There's nothing wrong with thinking differently than me. Um, and so, uh, oh, interesting. Are they coming out with best casting? EDM? Are the Oscars doing casting? I know that they're going to start doing stunt people next year. I think, right? Either next year or the year after. They're introducing stunt work, which I'm, like, super pumped about just because one of my films that I did several years ago, I worked with some incredible, uh, an amazing stunt coordinator here in Orlando that, like, did a bunch of stuff for Universal, and his whole team, he had a bunch of guys he brought in for this fight scene I did in one of my films, and, like, those guys are the hardest working guys, man. They take a beating and they love it, and they're so dedicated to their craft. I love that they're gonna get honored, through an Oscar, and I'm excited to see where that goes. But I didn't hear that best casting, is coming. I don't know. I haven't heard that. Um, and so, yeah, let me know, EDM, if that's official, if they're officially announcing that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's interesting to think flash forward, a year from now, like, what are we gonna be talking about with the Oscars, right? Because we've got some it's an interesting lineup for the year for movies, but all of those Oscar movies, I mean, they really drop in that October, November window. I mean, that's like 90% of Oscar noms are dropped in that window, and so we really won't know very many until then, which is just nuts. And that's why it really affects the voting. I think voters, they just don't really consider a lot of movies that are released before that October window. I mean, there's a few, but it's very, very rare. Very rare for them to do that. Um, so yeah. Um, I'm trying to think what else happened last night that I was just totally blown away by. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I think that's really interesting. Shape of Water, that's a good call, EDM. I mean, I think that that's a good similar film. I mean, Shape of Water, I liked Shape of Water, but again, yeah, it's like I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it since then. Um, unlike, last year, the Oscars last year too. I mean, it was such a good Oscars in my opinion last year. It was so, so good. Oh, okay. So casting is next year, 28. Oh, I hate that we have to wait for 28. They really just need to just get on it and introduce stunts next year as well. Um, but yeah, I think about the lineup last year for films, like it was such a strong lineup. And I think about the films, I've rewatched so many of the Oscar films from last year again. I mean, I've rewatched Oppenheimer twice. I've rewatched Barbie so many times. Like my wife's a massive Barbie fan, and honestly, I think that movie was so dang funny. I laughed. I really Barbie's grown on me as this movie that is just it's one of those films that you can just watch with anybody and have a good hard laugh, and then it just like punches you in the gut, like 75% of the way through the film. And so I just think there were so many great moments in uh the 2024 Oscars and so many great films. It's like so letting you guys into my world a little bit right now. It's like I'm sitting in my front room right now, just hanging with you guys, and I'm hearing like tapping on the window, right? And it scares me. It scares the heck out of me because I can't see who's out there. Somebody might be outside my door watching me through a window, and I start to get the heebie-jeebies because I'm hearing tapping on the window and the door. So you guys are here for it. So you're here. You see me scream, seeing some face in the door, face in the window. Oh, my dad's asking a good question. Let's see. Let me pull up my list. Um, I mean, there were so many good films in 2024. 2024 was so so strong of a year for movies. Let me pull up my letterbox just to jog my memory. Oh, that's a good thing right now. Hey, if you guys want, go follow me on Letterbox. My Letterbox handle is Firestorm, Firestorm 11. Go follow me, and I'll follow you back. I drop all my thoughts and my ratings on Letterbox as well, and like links to my videos and different stuff. And so I try to keep up on there. I also try to make lists of like all my current. So I have two lists going every year, and it's my ongoing, just like my total list, my master list of movies watched, old movies, new movies, everything along the way. And then I have my list of 20 of each year, the movies that I'm watching. And so thanks, Alex. I now yes, it's like you guys are my safety net right now for if I get taken. Um oh man, I'm just can't so good. Okay, I'm pulling up my movie tracker. I'm pulling up my movie tracker for 24. So in 24, I saw 75 movies in 24, which is crazy. 75 new movies. But my top 10, let's see, where is it? I guess I have it listed as 23. Let me go back. Yeah. Oh man, I'm like looking at this list. It's so good. Okay, here we go. 23, 24, rewatchability. Yeah, dude. EDM totally. Okay. Godzilla minus one was my favorite movie of 23, 24. I love that movie. I've watched it 4 or 5 times now. It is so good. That is such a shockingly good movie. Like you just don't expect a Godzilla movie to be as good as that movie is. It's beautiful. The story's amazing. The cinematography is amazing. The effects are amazing. I mean, like everything in that movie is so good. Rewatchability super high. Okay. Obviously, I talked about Oppenheimer. Um, Spider-Man into Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, all of these movies were so good. Um, so okay, another high rewatchability. Sorry, I just got shifted there. Another high rewatchability for me for that year, Air. If you guys saw Air with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, it's about the start of the Nike, like the Air Jordan. That movie is so good. It's so fun. And the script is sharp. I mean, the dialogue, it feels like Sorkin. It's like so good. Um, I mean, it's just an amazing movie, great performances, really good dialogue, and just a fun movie to watch. It's just one of those movies that is so, yeah, it's like, it's just so good. It's like one of those movies that I will watch now. It'll be one of those movies that just rolls around where I'm like, I'm gonna watch Air because it's fun. It's just so fun. And I love fun movies. There's movies that I like. I am a huge cinephile, okay? I definitely can get snobby with movies. I really like artsy, weird movies. Like, perfect example, a movie that not a lot of people liked, more tapping. One of the movies that I really loved that like people were like, I don't know about this is The Green Knight, right? I love The Green Knight. That movie's crazy. It's weird. It's just like insane, but I love it. Okay. So I love those art house weirdo crazy movies like that. But then I really love like Marvel movies. I love just shoot 'em up, crazy, like, I mean, or like I'm a nostalgia nut, right? So it's like I'm a '90s kid. Obviously, you can see got my JP hat going. I'm a '90s kid. I'm a Spielberg kid, Nintendo, and so like I loved the Mario movie, right? Not a good movie, not a good script, not a good plot, just not really the greatest, but boy, do I love watching that movie, especially with my son, because it's so fun and it just awakens nostalgia in you. And so it's like, I love that. I love that. 2014 Best Picture Tale of Princess Kaguya. In 2020, when making my best of decade list, Goodbye to Language 3D. So interesting. EDM, I haven't even heard of that. Princess Kaguya. I'll check it out always. I love finding like I love finding little diamonds in the rough that I don't know about. So I'll definitely check that out. Princess, I'm actually gonna type it in right now. I'm gonna put it in. Let me see. I'm a huge Miyazaki fan as well. And I think that Boy and the Heron has massive rewatchability. Now, I don't know if I necessarily recommend that to all of you because it's just one of those movies that I think you've had to really seen Miyazaki's most of his body of work to truly, really appreciate. But I think once you've seen all of Miyazaki's stuff, Boy and the Heron just becomes so good. Like I think that it is a movie that when you rewatch it, you find something new every single time you watch it. And that's really I mean, that's how we should measure rewatchability, I think, is like a movie that when you watch it, you discover something new every time, or it makes you feel something special or unique every time you watch it. I mean, those are the movies that are the best rewatches, right? It's like that's why that's why we watch movies because we want to feel something unique, something special. We want the movie to speak into the moments that we're experiencing. And so that is the joy of movies. I mean, that is why movies and shows exist, in my opinion. It's like they are meant to be lenses that we place over our lives and our experiences. And so when you go and for an example, one of my favorite movies of all time, JP, okay, Jurassic Park, one of my favorites, love it. The thing about Jurassic Park for me is that I've watched this movie over 100 times, easy. Maybe who knows how many times I've watched this movie. It is, I mean, it's ridiculous how often I've watched this movie. But every single time I watch it, I experience something different when I watch it because I love it so much and I can experience nostalgia with it, but it also changes with my seasons of life. I recognize different things and different characters and different moments throughout my life as my life changes. And that's the joy of movies. Movies affects us deeply like that. And it puts these lenses on our experiences and our perspectives to where we can watch something once, then watch it 5 years later and have a completely different experience. And movies are amazing for that reason. I mean, I love that we can do that with movies. Um, Green Book. Yeah, okay, so those are really funny, examples, EDM, because so Green Book, I felt very similar that I did about Honora. Like, I was like, "This is good, but it's weird to me that it's winning all the things that it was." I was just like, "This is just a good movie. It's a good movie, good story," that I was like, "Oh, it's interesting." Um but Roma was so interesting too because I didn't love Roma, but I agree with you that it was unique and special. And so oh, Grave of the Fireflies. Oh my goodness. I know that movie. Okay. That I feel like that shades that movie a little different for me. I'm like, "Oh boy. Here we go. Getting ready to get wrecked." I'm gonna look it up. Um, oh, totally. Grave of the Fireflies is like, I mean, there's just those movies that completely wreck you, and that's Grave of the Fireflies. I mean, that movie wrecks you. And speaking of movies that wreck you, okay, I'm so frustrated at myself, but I mean, I talked about this on the live the other day. For the first time in, I mean, I think a decade, I could not see every single Best Picture that was nominated this year. And I was so bummed. And two of them, apparently, the ones that I've missed, are incredible. I have still not seen Nickel Boys. W- Absolutely going to catch it. And I haven't seen I'm Still Here. And I've heard that both those movies just completely wreck you. And I'm all about those movies that just wreck you emotionally and just really hit you in the heart and just challenge you at a deep emotional level. Love those movies. Absolutely. And I've heard that about Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here. And so um I love Wally. I love Wally, man. That's great. Wally's so good. Wally's totally underrated. I wanna start doing some ratings lists too on here. Just haven't had the time. Haven't had the time to jump in. Um, but I really did like Wally. Did you guys see uh did you guys see Flo and Wild Robot this year? Sound off in the comments if you guys saw it. I'm curious at your thoughts because like super sad movies. Brokeback Mountain, man, that movie's so sad. It's been a long time since I've seen that one. Um, I mean, Wild Robot was sad. I think as a parent, like, if you haven't seen Wild Robot yet, I mean, incredible film, but I think that it really just hits parents, like, right in the feels. I mean, the reality of, like, what what does it mean to raise your children and then let them go? Man, I'm already getting choked up just thinking about it, right? I got 4 kiddos at home, here at home, and it's like, I'm just curious what everybody thought about Wild Robot. I thought that movie was so incredibly beautiful. The animation was amazing. The score was amazing. I like, yeah, it's like I do think it was like I think that that's part of something with it, right? Is that it really was geared towards parents. But I mean, it was just so well done. I just think everything about that movie was incredible, and so it made me sad that it didn't win Best Picture because I it was Best Animated in my opinion. Um, but it's just one of those movies. Wild Robot made me think of Wall-E a lot because I think there was a lot of I think the one of the beautiful things about Wild Robot was the no dialogue moments, like the silence and like or just the amount of time it let you feel things, okay? And that in movies, that's like pace, like how things are paced. There's an ability to slow moments down when you're a filmmaker and when you're a director and give things space. And it's like Wild Robot gave so much space. Like, I think that, yeah, I did. I saw that, Alex. I think that it's definitely going to get a sequel. I haven't read the books. We have them here. I ordered them to read them to my kids. We haven't gotten around to it yet. Um, but I do. I just think that that's what was something that really stood out to me about Wild Robot is the amount of space that it gave you to feel. And Flow had those moments as well, but I think Flow, it was a little bit more silly. Like, even though this cat was obviously experiencing something extremely profound, like, it was just different than Wild Robot. Wild Robot had I feel like a deeper heart, a little bit of a deeper heart than Flow did. And that was part of where I was, like, kinda disappointed because the Wild Robot really hit all of these spaces, and oh, man. So everything you're saying about this movie, EDM, is like I'm like, "Oh, boy, I gotta prepare myself." Oh, you liked Flow more. Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, and that's fine, totally. I think that totally, I think of the animal so it leans into that animal lover space for sure. What I loved about Flow is I thought that because of the no dialogue in Flow, it had a different way of giving you space, right? Like, it was kinda like you had to fill in so much with that movie on your own because the characters aren't talking. They're not telling you how they feel. They're not explaining what's going on. Oh, knocking lights over here. Um, they're not explaining to you what's going on. So, you know, it's a feel for sure. And so I think Flow had this element to it that was very open-ended. I mean, especially the ending. Like, I think it was so open for interpretation, and I like those movies, totally. I like movies that leave things up to interpretation a lot, but I also do love a good tied up with a bow ending in movies. I like it when I feel like the movie has told me everything I need to know, and I feel satisfied with the answers. And I don't know if that was the case with Flow, and I don't think it's supposed to be the case. I think Flow, to they wanted you to think about what did all of this mean? Like, what is really going on here? Like, and that's great. I mean, that's a designed thing by a director. Gintz, the guy that directed Flow, has a bright future ahead of him. I mean, obviously, with this win, he's going to get to make a lot of great stuff. Bird. I'll I gotta start writing all these down, EDM. I mean, I have the longest to watch list too, though. It's like I can't ever keep up. My list grows and grows and grows. I'm constantly trying to check it out. Last movie I really got into tears is Where the Cry. That was so good. That was so good. Where the Crawdads Sing. I mean, that movie messes with your emotions. Yeah. My parents are hanging out with us here in the chat, and I love it. Love you, mom. Love you, dad. Um, I think that, yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. Like, Where the Crawdads is such an interesting movie. That movie just took me completely by surprise. I hadn't read the book. I knew nothing about it. I went into it blind, and I left that movie like, whoa. And the girl that was the main girl was incredible too. I really liked her. Um, so yeah, I mean, flowing. I mean, this had to be one of the strongest years for animated in a really long time. I mean, Inside Out 2 was still very good. I really liked Inside Out 2. Memoir of a Snail was good. It was so weird though. So weird. I liked it. And then I love me some Wallace and Gromit. I mean, it's just that's something I grew up on. And so I think that it has a nostalgia bit for me that I really enjoyed. Okay. So EDM, it sounds like you're a huge big animation fan, and that's great. I love that. Oh man, that's so hard. Like I love both those movies, How to Train Your Dragon and Big Hero 6. I would agree with you though. I think How to Train Your Dragon's a bit better. How do you guys EDM? How do you feel about the live action How to Train Your Dragon remake? I think that I'm like, it feels weird. I'm like, why are you guys making this? Like it's like shot for shot. It's like literally like with a live action reskin, which just seems odd. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to be good. I mean, it should be good, right? I guess like if the animated is such a classic, and if the animated is such a classic, you would think if they're going shot for shot and doing the same movie, the live action is going to be amazing too. But you wonder, is it gonna take away from the magic? Because there's something about animation, right? I was working on an animated feature this past year, for a while, for actually going on almost 2 years. I was on a animation, feature, uh, team doing story work, and there's something about animation that is just so timeless. I've done a couple videos talking about it. It's like the timelessness of animation is something that sets it apart from live action. Because like things age in live action. Doesn't matter how good you do things. 10 years down the road, things change, technologies change, that looks different. Now, the same thing happens in animation, but animation has this inherent ability to be timeless. Even all the controversy going on with Shrek right now. I don't know if you guys seen that. Like the new Shrek, right? They're changing how he looks, and people are really upset about it. I think what people are really upset about is that there's something nostalgic about that original Shrek animation style. And you can still hold to that style while upgrade you can upgrade the textures and the graphics, but still hold to that style. But they're changing the style with Shrek. And so it's like, yeah, it's just so interesting to me that the the whole animated space is being reinvented a lot, right? And they're turning all these animated films into live action because those films won't probably last as long, to be completely honest. I mean, there's a reason we're still watching Snow White, okay? I mean, this movie was made in the 40s. It's like there's something timeless about animation, specifically 2D animation. There's news that just came out in the past, I think today or yesterday, where they were talking about how it sounds like Disney's going to be going back to do some 2D animation, and I'm pumped. I'm pumped about it, you guys. I think 2D animation. I love 3D, but there's just something about 2D animation that is just so special. The film I was working on this past year, I was kind of sad that we weren't doing 2D. We were doing a 3D movie, doing 3D animation, and it had a unique quality to it, a unique style that felt a bit like a 2DS, kind of like some of the stuff that Into the Spider Verse has been doing. But it's like there's just something so unique about 2D hand drawn animation that is just classically incredible and beautiful. And so I'm pretty pumped. Um, Speaking of 2D animation, it just was made me think like how many of you guys saw the Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim, and your thoughts on that one. Um, oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize it was the same director. Maybe I should have realized that. Maybe I should have realized it, but I didn't. That's really, really interesting. I would agree with you. It probably might be a mistake because, yeah, it's like it doesn't make sense to make the same movie in live action. There are things that live action does that animation doesn't do, and you should lean into that. Yeah, what is the point then? That's so nuts. Hold on. I'm pulling it up right now. That's crazy to me. That's the same director. No way. Dean DuBois. Wow. He did. He wrote it too. He wrote them as well. He wrote and directed How to Train Your Dragon. He did Lilo and Stitch as well. Interesting. I mean, that's crazy. Man, that's so weird to me. I'm disappointed in that, to be honest. I get it, like, How to Train Your Dragon's his baby, like, obviously, I was just looking at it, it's like on IMDb, he did them all. He wrote and directed all of those, right? So it's like, he is the creative force behind that entire series, which is a great series. And so it kinda makes sense that they would, like, give him first shot and be like, "Alright, we're making a live action, you go for it." Kinda makes sense, but at the end of the day, it's like, why would you do the same movie? And all that says to me is that he's too attached to the original dream and, like, feeling of what that original movie was. He coulda brought something really, really unique to the table with doing live action, so but welcome, everybody. I'm actually getting ready. I'm starting to wrap up the night. Hit that like button for me. I really appreciate it. Sub. If you're looking for non-spoiler movie reviews from a filmmaker perspective, this is the place to be. I'm on my way to 700. I don't know if I've passed it yet, but obviously working my way up to 1,000. And yeah, super appreciative of you guys hanging out with me tonight. Before we go, but so last kind of question of the night, what is your guys' most anticipated movie of 2025? I'm really interested of what you guys think. Dude, yes. Alex, that's incredible, man. Thank you so much. Well, that's exciting. Ooh, Wicked for Good. Okay. Solid. Wicked for Good is a solid Wicked for Good is totally solid. 100%. I appreciate that pick. I think I have a hot take for what mine is, but I'll wait. EDM, what's your most anticipated movie of 25? That's still yet to come. Sir Alex is Wicked for Good, which that's definitely on my list. I mean, for sure on my list, top to Avatar 3. Okay. I heard that last night. I was talking to a guy at the Oscars party I was at. That was his most anticipated. I really liked Avatar, the first Avatar. I wasn't as excited about the Avatar 2, but I'll say this. James Cameron, man, that guy does spectacle like nobody else. Like nobody else. So, okay. Well, I don't know. Wicked versus Avatar 3. We'll see. We'll see. You never know, man. There's some crazy movies coming out this year. Got Superman coming out. Who knows with James Gunn at the helm? I don't know about that. We've got, let's see what else we've got. Dude, we've got Mission Impossible. I'm pumped for Mission Impossible. I mean, I really liked Mission Impossible, the Dead Reckoning Part 1. Super pumped for Part 2. A lot of Part 2s this year. But I gotta say, my hat kind of gives it away what I'm most anticipated for, even though I know it's not going to be great. But my most anticipated movie is Jurassic World Rebirth. I mean, I am a JP fan through and through, fully accepting that the new movies are not good, but I still love them. I love dinosaurs. I've loved them since I was a kid. And so, as much as there's movies that I'm probably going to enjoy more than it, that's my most anticipated because I just love those movies so much. There's just something so nostalgic and amazing about the Jurassic Park movies that I just enjoy seeing the dinos on screen. Um, and so I'm pretty excited about that. Also, a little shadow, little dark horse, right? 28 years later. Are you guys excited about that? That trailer is the scariest trailer I've watched in a long time. With that recording, dude, that movie, I can't go see that movie alone. I see a lot of my movies alone and review them. There's no way I can do that movie alone. No way. It's the trailer scared the crap out of me. Ooh, best editing, Dark Horse. I mean, I just think it's gonna it felt that trailer like I was not anticipating that movie much at all, to be completely honest. And then that trailer rolled and I was like, this movie is gonna be crazy. Like truly. It scared me. Second most, yeah. I mean, that it just I go and watch that trailer. I watch that trailer often. That 28 Years trailer, I watch it like once every couple weeks. It's such a brilliant trailer. It's like truly incredible. It completely blew me away. So it's climbing the list for sure. It's climbing the list for sure. And Mission Impossible for me is up there too. Hey, everybody that just joined, welcome, welcome. We're just talking about our most anticipated movies now for 2025. So drop your most anticipated movie in the chat and hit that like button too while you're here. Yep, 100%, man. 100%, Alex. Marketing is so important. I mean, it's like it truly is one of those things that like, hey, thanks so much, EDM. It's marketing is one of those things like when you're working in the film industry, you don't realize how insane that entire machine is. Because for those of you that don't know, when you make a film, if your budget for a film is 50 million, right? And you're like, I'm going to make this film for $50 million, your money that you need to raise as a producer is not 50 million. The money you need to raise is 100 million because most of the time you're going to spend just as much on marketing as you did on making the film. And that's basically normal, just like normal PR, P&M packaging is you're going to spend either the same or sometimes even up to double of what you spent on the movie marketing your movie. 'Cause that's just the game. That's the Hollywood game right now. It's been that way for a really long time. Now, it's changing, I think. That landscape is changing, but I think that it's still very real, and you need that marketing push because no marketing means nobody's gonna go see your movie. That's just the reality. You gotta get it out there, and it costs a lot of money, guys, to get movies, like to get your movie out there, to get it in front of sports on sporting events and different commercials and stuff. You're paying big premium dollars for that stuff. Truly. It's outrageous. Like when we were looking into this for the movie, for our animated movie that we're making, and it's just like you start looking at these numbers, you start looking at the packages that firms are showing you and pitching to you, and it blows your mind how much movies just dump into marketing. It's crazy. And you have to do that marketing in order to get the buzz that you want. Substance, guarantee you they probably put, I mean, they definitely put their budget, maybe even double their budget into their marketing. They had to, right? To get the amount of buzz and the amount of like exposure that it got, that thing was everywhere. It was everywhere. Yeah, EDM totally, totally, man. Any sort of action scene is going to cost money. Like I've been doing films for 15 years, I've been making films, and the reality is that when you're doing stunts, any form of stunt on screen where there's risk involved, your budget goes through the roof because you got to hire first of all, you got to hire a stunt coordinator and their stunt team, and then you're hiring safety coordinators and you're hiring basically you're hiring firefighters, you're hiring paramedics, you're hiring all the people that need to be present when you're doing something crazy. And so anytime you do these action sequences, your budget is going to go through the roof because you're hiring dozens of people that have to be there because of filming regulations. And so you write that into your film, you write those car chase scenes, and yeah, they're sick, but producers see that stuff, and I mean, your script better be amazing because if it's not, that car crash scene or that car wreck scene, or I mean, I have a script with a car wreck scene. It's like you think in yourself, you're like, hey, you know what? You tell a producer sometimes that pitch says, hey, I can change this. I can pull this out. We can change this because it's going to cost money. It's going to cost a lot of money, depending on the amount of stunts that you're doing. So yeah, EDM just as from screenwriter to screenwriter. So, just give you a little bit of advice as well. It's like, I mean, start small with your scripts, with your feature scripts. Like, I think that if you can tell a story with, 3, 4, 5 characters and tell a feature that's really, really strong, that's gonna help build you a foundation as a storyteller and help you to hone your craft. I think a lot of times screenwriters, they wanna go big, right? Got your big imagination, big ideas, really big, huge movies. Those are hard to write. They're hard to write, and they're also hard to realize. It's like the reality of you getting that picked up or getting that optioned by a streaming service or by a studio. It's just it's hard. It's really, really, really hard, especially in today's landscape, because the studio's looking at it and going, "How am I going to make money?" Like, Matt Damon does an amazing clip on this that's kind of circled around for a while where he talks about this movie he did about called oh man, what was it called? Like Candelabra or whatever. And he talks about how he had to front a ton of his own money because it's like the studio looks at your movie and they say, "How are we going to make money?" That's why they want to fund your movie. They don't want to fund your movie because they want to win awards. I'm sorry to tell you that most of the time, especially these big studios. They want to fund your movie because it's going to make money. And in making money, that means smaller budget. The studios know the higher the budget goes, the less likely of a chance that you're going to make money. That's why Blumhouse has started doing what they've doing. A24 started doing what they're doing, right? They're giving smaller amounts of money. They're giving 10 million to these writer directors to go make a movie because every Blumhouse, right? They're giving 40 right now, I think roughly like 40 writer directors a year. They're giving them $10 million. So they're spending 400 million a year on making content, but they know that out of those 40 filmmakers, they're probably gonna have 3, 4, 5 hits on their hands that are going to make 100 million plus. And so they're gonna clear and they're gonna probably do even more, right? But they know that there's going to be those indie hits, and that's what makes that formula so special. And it's been fun seeing that grow. And A24 is the same way. A24 has been doing that. They're giving a lot of these filmmakers smaller budgets and longer leashes, creative leashes to make what they want to make because then they know the lightning in the bottle could strike. And it is striking. It's striking a lot. It's happening a lot more now when you spend like Anora is a great example, right? You spend 6 million on a movie, so you spend 6, maybe they spent 10 million on marketing for Anora. I don't know. I need to check. I would need to check the numbers, obviously. But it's like the movie made 40 or 50 million dollars, I think, maybe more. And so they more than made their money. That movie was massively profitable for them because of that micro budget. And so that's why things like that are becoming more attractive in the industry right now. It's because when you write these stories and you write them a little bit smaller and you focus on character development and you focus on good storytelling and you kind of maybe cut out some of the spectacle. I mean, that's totally like those are options that really set you up well. They set you up well to get a manager. They set you up well to just have films that are makeable, and that's important in your career. If you're looking to be a filmmaker like myself and a screenwriter, I mean, the idea of writing content and developing content early that is actually makeable and producible is super important. Like even me right now, like I'm looking at the future of looking at producing content. It's like I'm not gonna be able to walk into a big studio and be like, "Hey, I have this $100 million movie I want to make." It's just not gonna happen. Um, and so Hey, everybody, hit that like button if you're here. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. We've been talking Oscars for a few hours, and now we're just chatting movies and chatting screenwriting and filmmaking. And um, just as another little mini bio, I've been a filmmaker for 15 years. I got my start at Marvel back in the early MCU days. So uh, my first job at Marvel, I was working on this little animated show called Superhero Squad, really silly show for little kids. But I got a great job with a amazing boss. Her name was Dana Booten, really big pillar in the animation industry, animated shows. And started working for her for a while, and then made my way around to just kind of doing a lot of different Marvel jobs, the early MCU stuff. And so just had a great start in that world, worked on some really cool shows, um, and then moved over into nonprofit. And I've been in nonprofit for almost 15 years now, making short films, documentaries, series. I did a whole sports series, produced a whole sports series last summer for the Olympics. And so I'm kind of all over doing a lot of fun stuff right now, but looking to get back into narrative. That's definitely my desire. Um, but let me check out what EDM's saying here. Reading artists Apple TV gives creators algorithm guide. Interesting. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I mean, most filmmakers are going to tell you they don't like that. Uh, I don't need. I don't need. That's an interesting thing about filmmaking and writing as well. It's like you got to know the rules to break the rules, but people break the rules all the time. Screenwriters break the rules all the time, but you can only break them well if you know your foundational rules. And so, but that's what bothers me about algorithms, because algorithms don't know. They don't know everything, and they can't predict what a good movie is going to be. I'm sorry, they just can't. There's so much that goes into the creative process. And so it's like when I see things like that, I'm like, oh, it rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, Apple, come on. Like, there are some elements of that, like predictive audience engagement stuff, right? That is good to know, but look at Andor, right? I don't know how many of you guys watched Andor this past year, but we were just talking about this last night. It's like Andor is a perfect example of something that doesn't fall into the formulaic right thing, but it's like the best Star Wars stuff that's been made in years. And it's because you have this show that really digs into the details, and it has this really slow, methodic start that builds so well into something crazy. And so those first 3, 4 episodes are kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. You're like, this is kind of slow. Like, what's happening? What's going on? Where are they going with this? And then episode 4 and 5 hit, and you're like, holy crap, this is incredible. And everything comes together at the right time. And so an algorithm's not going to be able to predict that. And so it's like, that's the reality of like AI is all the talk right now, right in the business, right? Especially with writing. And the reality is, I keep knocking over this slide over here, and I just knocked off my color sheet. But sorry, guys. Um, so it's like the reality is though, is like you're not gonna get like uh you're not gonna get, thanks, Dad. You're not gonna get those moments with AI. AI is not gonna be able to write that stuff. It's like that's just the reality. They're not gonna be able to produce. There's something so unique about writing story that's unique to the human experience that can't be simulated. I mean, I have a ton of people working in messing around with AI, um, and writing scripts and like doing all these things. It's like it just can't do it. It can't innately create something that feels real. There's always something off about it. And AI will continue to refine, but I don't think it's ever gonna have that. It's just not gonna be able to do that. So, um, but EDM, keep moving, man. Keep moving on screenwriting. I mean, the biggest thing about screenwriting for all of you that are here, if you're a prospective screenwriter, this is the deal, okay? You have to you have to be ready for when your moment comes. And what ready means is having several scripts that you've written that are polished, that you've passed through peers and other writers to give you feedback, and you've cleaned it up and it's ready. Because if you're rubbing shoulders with filmmakers and writers and storytellers, there's going to come an opportunity where you have something to share. And somebody's going to be like, well, hey, show me that idea, or let me read that script. And you want it to be cleaned up and ready to pitch, because it might be your chance. It might be your chance where a producer's like, hey, I love this idea. Let's move forward with it. And you got to be ready. And um, so yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing for screenwriters. That's my point, or that's my biggest pointer for you. If you're a prospective screenwriter, is that you got to just be ready. You got to have your script, especially one or two scripts that you're just like, this is my hardcore, it's fully vetted and I could pitch this in the dark script or story, and you can cast vision for it. And you're going to run into somebody one of these days, if you're running in those circles, that wants to hear that story, and they're going to like it enough that if you give the good pitch, they're going to green light it. And that's kind of part of the filmmaking world. That's part of finding that space to make it right. I've been going to Austin Film Festival, got my Austin Film Festival shirt on right now. Nice. Yeah, reading screenplay is amazing. I mean, the Memento's a crazy script. I read that script. Like, just the formatting alone of that script is amazing to study. But yeah, master of your craft. I mean, read scripts. Like, there's a place called oh my goodness, why am I blanking on the name of it right now? There's a screenplay site that you can join for free. And you can read Oscar-winning scripts. Like, maybe I'll put it up on my channel later. It's a great website, and you can go there, and they're always dropping scripts for you to go read, and it's like huge. Like, I read a script a week. It's important. It's important to be reading scripts, because it's honing your craft. So, and if you're watching these Oscars and you're wanting to become a writer, I mean, do it, guys. Do it. Start reading scripts. That's where you can start, and then start writing shorts, and then work your way up to feature, and start developing that feature. I mean, that's the route to go. So, but all right, everybody. I think I'm gonna call it a night. It's pretty late here on the East Coast. I'm on the East Coast, 11 o'clock, but I'm super thankful for all of you. Seriously, thanks so much for all of you that have stuck around for the past almost 2.5 hours. Super fun. It's really fun talking Oscars with you guys, talking film, talking writing. I want to start doing more lives and just chatting with you guys and talking through just my love of film, my love of movies, and I love getting to discourse with a lot of you guys. And once I get my act together with live streaming, I really want to figure out how to get people on the show. Like, I'd love to bring people on eventually, and do some roundtable stuff with letting some people into the chat. So, from the chat into video, again, to hang out with me. So thanks again, guys. I'm gonna thank you, and I'm gonna sign off. Hey, Alex, seriously, totally loved having you here, man. Seriously, so good. Thanks for subbing, and look forward to having more discussion with you in the future. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna sign off, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Peace out, everybody.